RVBN, the Rich Video Blog Network, home to top 10 list of everything and anything, weekly NFL predictions, great personality profiles, and a whole lot more. An archive of my greatest work is on Facebook and YouTube. RVBN, the only video blog in the internet that matters. Billerica, Massachusetts. Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Tuesday, November 1st, 2016, around 8:04 in the evening, Billerica, Massachusetts. Sun went down. It's a little chilly out, but tomorrow's going to be in the low 60s, which is a couple of degrees above average. Get out and enjoy it, because there might not be too many days left in the 60s for the entire year. Some news to report on the RVBN Newswire. Ray Allen has officially announced he's retired from the NBA. Ray last played in the NBA in the 2013-2014 season with the Miami Heat. He was contemplating returning. There was a couple of teams interested in him, but Ray Allen said he just is at peace of his decision. He's 41 years old and haven't played in close to 3 years. He might have been a little rusty. He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer when he's eligible in 2018. And TNT is going to have an NBA awards show at the end of June, where all the major awards of the NBA is going to be announced, like MVP and Most Improved Player, Six-Man Award, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, every major NBA award. It's going to be like the NHL award ceremony. No word yet where it's going to be located or who's going to host it. And that's about it on the news from the RVBN Newswire. Be back in a flash. Get out. You're so sweet, cause they're cute. The more the merrier. Go find something to do. You got no chance in hell. Oh my. Have a nice day. That's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so. Great video, great quotes. Only on RVBN. Exercise, 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 exercise. Do your exercises at least 30 minutes a day, while it's lifting weights, walking, running, jogging, crawling, doing pull-ups, push-ups, sit-ups, whatever. Get your body going. Get your heart race flowing. Do your exercises. I'm back. My third and final video blog subject of the night is the top 10 best podcast, in my humble opinion. There's lots of great podcasts out there. I listen to a lot of them. Some of them are great, some of them are not. But here are the top 10 podcasts out there. Number 10 on this list of the best podcast, in my humble opinion, the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast, which is from Podcast One. WWE Hall of Famer Stone Cold Steve Austin hosted. He interviews a lot of professional wrestlers, past and present, and it's so entertaining. Number 9 on this list of the top 10 best podcasts, the Kevin Kelly podcast, which is no longer in production. Kevin Kelly was the Ring of Honor play-by-play announcer. He did it through Place to Be Nation. He talked about Ring of Honor and WWE and other stuff. And he had some good guests on there, but his new duties with ROH behind the scenes, meaning he cannot do a podcast anymore with doing other wrestling organizations. Number 8 on this list of the best podcast out there, my humble opinion, it's Between the Sheets, when it's they go, Chris Saugner hosted, they go through a week in professional wrestling any given year. They talk what's going on behind the scenes through Pro Wrestling Torch, the Wrestling Observer, and defunct websites about the latest news. And they do, which is pretty good. Number 7 on this list of the greatest podcast out there is the Hockey Today podcast from ESPN.com, hosted by Scott Burnside. He has a lot of NHL insiders, including Pierre LeBrun and Joe McDonald and a few others, and they talk about the weekly goings on in the NHL, and it's pretty entertaining. And they play the ESPN NHL theme music back in the day. Number 6 on this list of the best podcast out there is the Titans of Wrestling podcast, which talks about the WWF in the 70s and 80s, hosted by Pav, Kelly, Johnny Salo, and a couple of others. They go through usually matches from MSG and All-Star Wrestling and WWF Championship Wrestling and the Philadelphia Spectrum. Have some interesting stuff. Number 5 on this list of the greatest podcast out there is the SI Media Podcast, which is done by Richard Dice, who's a host of comments of the Media Watch for SI.com, and also has some features in Sports Illustrated magazine, and he interviews people from the media, which is real entertaining. Number 4 on this list of the greatest podcast out there is the NBA Team Podcast from PlaceToBeNation.com. Adam Murray and Andrew Reese host it, and they talk about an in-depth look of the NBA, previews, or players, or teams, or whatever, and it's real entertaining. Number 3 on this list of the greatest podcast out there, in my humble opinion, is the Ross Report by Jim Ross. Good old JR. JR is done by Media Podcast One, and JR gives his weekly banter about world professional wrestling, and there's a lot of guests on there from WWE, WCW, and other stuff, and it's so entertaining. Number 2 on this list of the greatest podcast out there is the Baseball Tonight podcast from ESPN, hosted by Buster Only. He has a lot of baseball insiders, including Jason Stark and Jerry Krasnick and Tim Kirchin and Keith Law, plus he interviews players, managers, Hall of Famers, broadcasters, and scouts and others. Number 1 on this list of the greatest podcast out there is the Place to Be Nation Vintage Vault, and it's hosted by 2 good guys, and they talk about reviewing every WWE pay-per-view from WrestleMania 1 through 2007 and continuing on. It's so entertaining, and might do a podcast for Place to Be Nation Vintage Vault. And that's about it about that. And I'll be back tomorrow. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google Plus for 3 more video blogs coming your way. First video blog will be by personality profile Manny Malera's. Second video blog will be about Week 9 NFL predictions, and the third and final video blog of the night will be about the top 10 list of the greatest Johns of all time. And the host of the Place to Be Nation Vintage Vault is Scott Crosolo and JT Rosillo. The names just came up on top of my head. And keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Benny guy. Molly Roseblood, the WCCO Rex, has nice legs. Elizabeth had so stunning, she's best. Amy Sweezy's awesome Amy. Linda Church of WPIX, Channel 11, such a whacking cougar's got the best legs in New York City. And Barbara Gibbs of ABC 11 has a sweet southern accent. And she's got the best legs in Raleigh in North Carolina. And in the words of Cactus Jack, bang bang. Bye now. No.